Well, it's tricky. And that's actually what my research is on right now. So I'm researching the psychophysiology of flow states among founders. So flow's been studied in all these different domains. It was originally studied with artists and ballerinas by Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, and then it was athletes by Sue Jackson down in Australia. And all these different domains of life, there have been people that have been studying it in the work environment for a long time. But surprisingly, very few people studied it in entrepreneurs. And the reason I think for that is that entrepreneurs are hard to study in the wild, right?
Like, they're stressed out all the time.
I mean, well, it's difficult, right? Because the last thing they want to do is be bothered, right? We're usually myopically focused on what we're doing. You know, if I'm building a business and I'm in the throes of startup life and someone's like, hey, can I do a research study on you? My answer is like, get the hell out of here. I got better things to do, right? So I think it's really hard to study it in the first place. I've been really fortunate because I work with so many entrepreneurs and have built relationships of trust and kind of giving to them first before asking anything in return, that I've been able to kind of launch this study. As far as I know, there's nothing really like it has ever been done. But when you think about flow in the context of entrepreneurs, you kind of have to think of it in two different contexts. There's kind of two types of flow. There's individual flow, and then there's team flow, right? So if you're an individual, you know you're into flow. You've probably, you know, like, I'm not an engineer, but if you're an engineer, those guys are really, really good at putting on the noise canceling headphones, putting the sign on their back that says F off, I'm coding, you know, and like creates a bubble around them and buries themselves in their equation, right? I can't code. That doesn't work really well for me, but sometimes like I might be doing something in Excel and doing some like modeling in Excel, and all of a sudden I'm just like obsessed with the challenge, and like, or I might be doing something with design or playing with like Photoshop or Illustrator, or even working on a website. Next thing I know, like 3-4 hours have gone by. I've done a whole ton of work that I never expected to do in that amount of time. That flows as the individual, where you're so immersed in a task that you kind of lose sense of time. You're on a roll, you did great work, and you feel great in the end. Then there's flow in the team setting, which is something that's been studied a lot less. And actually one of Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, the founder of Flow, one of his students, Keith Sawyer, who's now a prof at the University of North Carolina, really pioneered this work on team flow. And he did it by studying the understudies of improv comics that were trying to get into Saturday Night Live. And what he discovered is that in the team setting, that the flow experience is profoundly different, right? Instead of this like distraction-free kind of deep focus, the team flow is more like playing a pickup basketball game or doing improv comedy, where you're like, you know, you're running down the court and like, you know that your buddy is cutting to the basket, so you're dishing him the ball, you know, or like, you know, you're doing improv comedy and you know what that person is going to say, and you're already preparing how you're going to respond to it. And there's some really cool little tricks, but the dominant trick that exists there is this kind of additive effect, right? Where, you know, improv comics, you know, if you throw something out there and the other person is like, oh no, you know, it kills it, right? So everything is like, yeah, and. So like, you know, you're in that environment because everything is really positive. It's really additive. You know, communication is like moving forward rather than kind of like running in the hamster wheel in one place. And you just like, you feel great. The vibe is really great. It's super constructive. And like, you're collectively addressing complex challenges effectively.